I'm already videoing. Jerk. I was talking to Caleb. Alright, Willard. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and video all the Farkle stuff on here so you can kind of see what I've done to this bike, and maybe this will kind of help you out as you start ordering your stuff. So hopefully I'll get everything covered for you. This might take just a couple of minutes. Well, first of all, of course I got the JMM CB mount on here. I used a tech mount here to mount the JMM to it, so it worked almost perfectly here with the trigger right here, as you can see in the reach with my finger. It's a little bit further than it probably has to be or should be normally, but it works great. So as far as the grip clearance goes, it just fit right in there, just snug as a bug in a rug, if you will. Speaking of bugs, there's several of them on there. Now as you look though, I routed all of the cabling down with the other cables for the brake and what have you. Most of the cabling I put in down underneath this side or this panel here. There's a lot of room here. I did do a lot of routing for the cables down here right above the head. You can in fact see some of it up here. And then it goes all the way down. Be kind of careful though, because the engine obviously gets very, very hot. So I put some automotive protective sealant stuff around it, and then it all routed up under here. Down here you can see where I've twisty tied a lot of it in. While we're here, you might as well see where I've dongled out the front cable for the front headset. Here's the rear cable for the rear headset. Of course, here is the push to talk button for the passenger. Alright, so again on the JMM, pretty simple installation there. Now as far as the GPS, the Garmin 550, what I did with it is I've used the Touratech mount, the one that has the anti-shock on it. So this thing does move around, as you've probably noticed on your bike. You get a little bit of jiggle as it's riding, but it works perfectly. There is a locking mechanism over here which I like, but I take this off every single night. It does not obstruct my view overall because I'm looking right over, so I like it up here. I know that G mounted his down here using a God, what's that thing called? The mount, I think, that actually came with it. So I liked mine to be a little bit more accessible. I'm not taking my eyes off the road. As far as the mount itself goes, it came in a lot of pieces, but it was pretty easy to mount. Bike's dirty, obviously, because I've been riding it, but you can see where it comes. Cable routing was the only issue here. Here are the cables that come down, and then they route all the way down just underneath or behind the dash. Now I also ordered from Touratech this black piece here to cover everything up. I got one other accessory up here, the BMW size accessory, which matches the one back here on the left hand side as well. And also I mounted this waterproof switch. This is, I think, a 20 amp switch. I got it from a marine store, and I hooked up all of my electronics on it. So if you see, if I switch that on, everything comes on. It is independent of the battery, or excuse me, of the key as well. Be very careful when you're wiring on this thing, simply because you can run into some trouble with the CAN bus system. So I didn't do that. Of course, the Zumo is going to stay on until I shut it off by itself. Make sure you shut this off, because if you don't, your battery's dead. I've done that a few times as well. As far as while we're on the front of the bike, I do have this plastic protector. Very, very good. Saved my, I'm sure it saved my my glass a couple of times, my headlamp. The bad side is very hard to clean underneath it. I usually have to wind up taking out two of these torque bolts or hex screws to get back behind there. If I had it to do over again, I might get the one that has the metal grill on it. I did put the oil cooler in though. This thing I think is important as well. That's worked out good. While we're down here, I did get the Touratech, I don't know what this thing is called, but this little bumper here, I know it's going to keep the forks from twisting if I really take a bad spill. It has a little bumper there for when it's turning, so that was easy to install down there. Now, let's see here. Wiring. I do have the wiring coming up here on this side for two purposes. One is for the radar detector, which again, I don't know that I would have done that again, but I used the same tech mount system on it. Have this just velcroed on, as you can hear, and wired into the helmet. And then I have the Garmin puck, the GPS puck here for XM and weather and all that good stuff. So it's all kind of integrated into one neat thing. Again, that's just also velcroed on the top of my brake reservoir there. On the grips, I use these grips, of course, because you know what happens with my hands. But the Keiko throttle lock is perfect. I love this thing. It's very easy to adjust and to set it for when you want to use a pseudo cruise control. Okay, on this side of the bike, I don't think there's anything else that I've done specific, but let me show you how I mounted my antenna for the CB. No brain surgery here. I got a 3-footer. It works great. I was able to communicate with everybody up to about a half-mile away. As you can see, the strip that they provided from JMM worked perfectly. It integrated perfectly as well. And then, let's see here. I think I grounded it. When you go to ground it, I grounded it right here. You can see the cable coming off of it. I routed the rest of the cable around the other side, so it all comes up here underneath the seat. So I think I did a pretty good job keeping that stuff kind of clean and neat and out of the way.